Good morning. Today is Thursday, September 29th. I'm Danielle Wiggins with your 3 News Now morning update. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me on the WKYC YouTube page. We start with Holly, who's letting us know how Ian could impact Northeast Ohio.
Well, you know what? We're looking towards the weekend, and it looks like impact could very well happen. So we're going to get to that. Wait till you see the 7-day. But in the meantime, I think the brightest news, which we could surely use on this very big weather day, is the fact that after some cloud cover this morning and just very isolated shower chances, depending on when you're tuning in here, we will see a huge clearing trend heading into this evening and overnight. And temperatures are going to drop off too by tomorrow. We'll be looking at 40s to begin your Friday. But in the meantime, as we do look ahead, we're planning on a lot of sunshine for tomorrow. So no impact there. Great weather for Friday football games and high school games, and the Guardians playing this evening and tomorrow night for that matter will be in the 60s. Now do remember, average highs around 71 this time of the year. And then here's what happens on the current track. And again, I want to just emphasize subject to change. We do expect to see what's left of Ian start to have impact Saturday in the way of increasing rain or wind and chances late in the day. Sunday looks like biggest impact for windy, scattered rain showers. Of course, nothing to compare to what's going on in Florida at all. But certainly, you need to know because of all the fall things you may have planned this weekend, and we're getting into October with a lot of interesting weather here. We're back to some sunshine, at least by the way things look next week. Never quite warming to around 70, Danielle, staying kind of cool for this time of the year all the way through next Wednesday.
We froze a bunch of the water just in case, so it's cold, and then we froze bags of water for ice.
That is the voice of Hannah Sarchev-Kangalosi, a Strongsville native now living in Orlando, Florida. She told us that this is her first hurricane and she's preparing the best that she can as Orlando is now facing the storm. And Ian has already ravaged the west coast of the state. Brian McNulty lives in Tampa and has family here in Northeast Ohio. We spoke to him on the phone yesterday.
With this kind of wind, I can't believe all of the power lines aren't down.
And in Tampa, Ian's winds drained Tampa Bay, and the water is expected to come back even higher. And some Ohioans are on a mission to help. Ohio Task Force 1 is making its way to Florida. The Urban Search and Rescue Group was in Alabama earlier this week, waiting for the arrival of Hurricane Ian. Now, the team is ready to help however they can.
We're equipped to make rescues as far as that goes, or we're also equipped to help out with just evacuating people if need be, or down to passing out water, whatever it needs.
The group has deployed for other hurricanes as well, including Hurricane Dorian in 2019 and Hurricane Laura in 2020. And Hurricane Ian brought high winds, storm surge, and even tornadoes to Florida's Gulf Coast. And now, as the storm makes its way through central Florida, senior meteorologist Matt Wentz explains just how strong Ian was and where it stands with other storms.
Well, we continue to track Ian through the state of Florida, eventually out towards the Atlantic. But how did we get here? Boy, yesterday was rough across the areas of Florida where this made landfall. Florida landfall happened at 3:05 in the afternoon near Cayo Costa. It was a Category 4 storm when it hit. Winds were at 150, 940 millibar pressure. That's a very low pressure for a hurricane. When it's low, it means it's strong. And we don't need really the pressure to tell us that. They had record storm surge set in Fort Myers at 7 feet. And in Naples, it's 6 feet. What storm surge is when you have dry ground and then the wind from the hurricane over miles and miles piles that water up. So you imagine that, 7 feet. I'm 6 foot tall. We had 7-foot storm surge. So the water from the Gulf of Mexico piled up 7 feet high in areas of Fort Myers. Here's what it looked like on radar. Really well-defined eye wall came on shore. You can see how once it hit shore, it loses that food that hurricanes survive on. So it started to decay in terms of that eye wall. But intense winds right along that. They've had a catastrophic catastrophic flooding on the north end of this. I don't like hype. This storm deserves the hype. They had anywhere from 10 to 15, even 18 inches of rain in a matter of hours as this moved in. That's on top of all the other storm surge. All the storm surge was down to the south. Low went here, so all that water piles up down to the south. Tampa had the opposite. All the water exited the bay as the wind was coming offshore. What happens today into tomorrow? It's going to make a churn. That will pile up more storm surge along the Savannah area up towards Charleston and South Carolina. This thing's feeding off of warm water, and look what's on the other side. This is the Gulf Stream, more warm water, so this may, as it goes back out over the ocean for a little bit, perhaps strengthen up again. In terms of winds, put together for you the highest wind speeds at landfall in Florida. The Labor Day storm back in 1935 takes the cake, 185-mile-per-hour winds. Andrew, we all know that one, 165 at landfall, but look at this, Michael and then Ian sitting in fourth place for Florida in terms of top winds at landfall. Just an incredible storm, lots of devastation in areas of southwest Florida.
Thank you so much, Matt. And of course, we will continue to keep track of Ian and the potential impacts it could have on Ohio. So stick with us on air and online at WKYC.com. Turning to more local news, 2 former East Cleveland police officers indicted on corruption charges were in court yesterday. DeMarco Johnson and Von Harris are facing charges of bribery, tampering with records, and insurance fraud. Yesterday, their bond was set at $5,000. An arraignment date has not yet been set. The Garfield Heights Teachers Association is asking for a federal mediator as it tries to work out a deal with the school district to avoid a potential teacher strike. Administrators rejected the union's initial sit-down offers, but both sides have agreed to talk on October 11th. Garfield Heights teachers have been working without a contract since June 30th and authorized a 10-day notice to strike last week. And it is official. Aer Lingus is coming to Cleveland. The news was confirmed during yesterday's major air service announcement at Cleveland Hopkins. Aer Lingus will offer nonstop flights from Cleveland to Dublin, Ireland, starting in May. The air service is offering reduced fares for May 19th to June 15th, but passengers must book their seats before October 19th in order to get the deal. We have more information available for you on our website, WKYC.com. Well, thank you for taking time to join me for this 3 News Now morning update. Our digital team will continue to bring you the stories making headlines around Northeast Ohio and beyond. Make sure you continue to check our social media pages and WKYC.com throughout the day. I'm Danielle Wiggins, and I'll see you tomorrow morning on Go. Yep, that's Friday, starting at 4:30 a.m. Have a great day, everybody.